Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the UCM podcast. I am your host for today, Dr. Bill Davis, founder and CEO of UCM Practice Growth Systems. And I am very excited to have one of our awesome UCM team members joining me today, Melissa House, our client success manager. Melissa, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, Melissa has been just an awesome addition to the team, and she's been doing a lot of really cool stuff. And I want to get a chance to really talk with her about what she's been learning and what she's been doing as she's been visiting lots of chiropractic colleges this year. But first, Melissa, introduce yourself to our audience. Tell them about you and what what brought you here to UCM. What's some of your background in chiropractic and so forth.
Sure. So again, thank you for having me. I am super excited and privileged to be a part of the upper cervical chiropractic community. And I added, or I guess you guys added me to UCM early in January as the client success manager. And before, in my years leading up to joining UCM, I started as a marketer at a busy upper cervical office back in 2015. And I started boots on the ground, going door to door, the most uncomfortable type of external sales that you could probably do, walking into buildings that said no soliciting. But I did confront a lot of things that I didn't really know that I needed to confront, and it then became super comfortable. So 2 years into doing marketing, it was a normal day at our practice, and it was a Monday morning, and everyone was coming in from a long, busy weekend, and there were patients that were starting to fill the rooms, and the first patient was in the adjusting room, and our doctor went in and ultimately collapsed and passed away at the young age of 45.
Ugh.
And so the owner's wife was not only mourning the loss of her husband, but she was also put under tremendous pressure of, I have all of these patients that need continued upper cervical care. And so with not that many, less than 5% of chiropractors practicing upper cervical, she started flying in doctors all throughout the United States. And, they are heaven sent doctors. They were doing 2 to 3 days at a time just to care for our existing client base. And, of course, those shoes could never be filled. However, we did have some amazing upper cervical doctors join our team. And we were always left in the predicament that we couldn't fill. We would be hindered, our ability to grow would be hindered by the addition of an upper cervical doctor. And so I went on to do all of the patient education into more of a sales role. And then I ended up leading and helping manage the busy practice where we did grow tremendously. And again, we always would get back to that portion of we couldn't add a doctor. And
Right.
with the other therapies not therapies, but we added functional medicine, and that practice ended up going more of the functional medicine route and started to slowly limit their days on upper cervical. And then that kind of led me to UCM Practice Growths, because my heart is in upper cervical, and I know just how rare and how special it is. And, I would see patients at a gym or people, I would say, at a gym where they were silently suffering, not sharing how much they really were suffering. And these were moms and dads and just people that were going on with their busy daily life, but doing it in a way that they can give more of themselves if they felt better. And then I got to educate them on what upper cervical was, even though they've been to multiple chiropractors before that, or multiple doctors, or tried multiple methods to be able to find relief from these chronic conditions. And then I got to see them get better. And it was nothing is more empowering than being a small part of why someone gets better, or in some cases, even helping them get out of their own way to be able to come to a point where they're able to choose themselves. So I have, again, had the privilege to work along upper cervical doctors, but really walk the journey with a lot of the patients and get to a point where they're able to really choose themselves and get well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, obviously you have a lot of this, background within upper cervical practices, working in practices. And so as you've joined the UCM team, can you tell the team, or tell the audience here, what is, what are some of the things that you've been doing with UCM?
Yeah, so I started as the client success manager, and I am meeting with not only doctors, but also staff members too, which sometimes are my favorite just because I can relate so well. And really making sure that they're doing their part. Not only, UCM, we have a ton of different resources that we're able to offer, but also making sure that I'm able to coach and help staff and doctors be really successful with the tools that I have been given, and some of the coaching skills that I've been giving in the past as well. So working alongside not only myself, but there's a whole client success team, and we are here to just make sure that marketing is going well and communication, making sure follow-up is being done, because sometimes in a busy day when patients are coming through, we prioritize different things, and each staff member could prioritize something different. Maybe new patients is on the radar one day, and then the next day it is, they have to get some billing type of things, or they're wearing too many hats. So really to help with the different systems, and each client is in a different growth stage. So coaching and mentoring looks a little different depending on where they are, whether it's a student, or if someone is just opening, or they're a little bit more seasoned and they have multiple associates or multiple locations. It can vary based on wherever they are in growth.
Sure, absolutely. And so, I mean, obviously, client success has been a big part of your role. You've also been really helping us with our associate recruitment program and our building our associate talent network. And so, as part of that effort of, really trying, our goal, one of our goals at UCM is to really solve this problem of, as you mentioned, the difficulty of adding additional upper cervical doctors to practices is a major issue within upper cervical chiropractic practice. And it's something that limits growth potential, capacity, and ultimately people getting the help that they need all the time. Right. And so we're really working on, in a variety of different ways, coming after and encountering this problem. And so one of the issues obviously is just not enough candidates, right? Not enough people out there that are interested in upper cervical chiropractic or going in that direction already. And so one of the things that we've been doing this year is or you've been doing specifically, is going to the chiropractic colleges. And so I'd like to get into that now and really talk that through, because I know obviously it's been really insightful for you to learn, to talk to all these students and just kind of get an idea of where they are, what's going on with them. And ultimately, if you're a student listening to this, how do you choose your path in chiropractic is an important thing to really explore, especially if you're in school, to really try to figure out, okay, how do I navigate to a successful chiropractic career, right? Where I can do this for decades in a successful way. So I'd love to let's start getting into some of this information on how do you choose the right path.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have 5 different colleges in the month of April of 2026. And it was a little intimidating, all of these different places throughout the United States at first, but wow, I'm there to help support and mentor some of the students, but they've really impacted me as well. They've really taught me some of the things, how I could better serve them, because they really are, they're overwhelmed. They have so many options, they have so many choices, and they are very, very unclear of where they want to go. I would say maybe 20% of students that were later on in their quarters or semesters or tries, whatever the case may be for the different college, they were very uncertain of which route they wanted to go. And a lot of it was because they had so many different options and they weren't really sticking to one thing. And they were, of course, they're looking through everything, but all of the options weren't even given to them. A lot of students aren't taught as much as other colleges teach, or some in particular, about upper cervical. So there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of misconception when it comes to students. And again, where it says clarity creates confidence, a lot of them are unclear at the certain quarters in college.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, obviously, and that's the problem, right? If they're not clear, they don't know which direction to go, then they can, they don't know, they can get stuck in kind of a paralysis by analysis situation. And so what's those most common struggles that you see are holding students back?
Well, I think one thing in particular is that they're doing things based off what they think they should do. And they're losing some of the why. I was challenging a couple of the students of, why do you want to go that route? And
Right.
It was more or less because a friend was going, or there wasn't a why behind it. And I think that they have to be able to connect the dots of what they want to do. I think you have to draw out some more of that why, because with there being too many techniques, there isn't a lot of direction towards one versus another. And that does lead to the uncertainty. And I had quite a few people that are graduating June 2026. We are now in May.
Yeah.
And they have no clue what they're going to do.
Wow.
So there's that uncertainty, there's that not knowing, and they kind of waited a good little while and there's still question. And that could have been skill that was sharpened, earlier on, and it would have helped with preparation for where they were going to be. And it's so crazy because there's so many doctors that are willing to mentor and that are amazing at what they do, and they help so many people. They just have to be placed with they have to be placed with a willing student that is willing to learn and adapt to all of the amazing skills that they have.
And that's it, right? It's all about that matchmaking, right?
Yeah.
Finding the right situation for the right student or right recent graduate with the right doctor. Because like you said, I mean, there is so many techniques. They learn so many different techniques in chiropractic college, but they don't ever really, most of them don't commit, right? They don't commit to mastering one or really get in and focused on that. So they have this uncertain career path, and then they struggle to communicate value, right? Because they don't have that clarity. So it's so much more difficult to have confidence and certainty in what you're doing when you don't have clarity. And then unfortunately, chiropractic schools, they have a lot of things they need to teach them, and as it relates to practice or to technique and to passing boards ultimately, right? That's really what chiropractic school is designed for. But it's not actually, it's not to help you get ready to be in practice, right? And so they don't feel practice ready because they're not.
Right. No, not at
And
all.
so what, so that's why, they come to that fork in the road. They need to figure out, what you don't need everything. You need to choose that right path, right? You can't master every technique. You have to choose, and you have to figure out where to go. And so what is that path that you're recommending to these students is, what's that first step is to specialize, right?
Right. Well, specializing is key. That's where the masses that need help are, right? People are out sick and suffering. They need they need an expert in the field.
Mhm.
There's so many students really need to commit is what they need to do. Just like we have patients that commit to care plans, they commit to care. Students have to make the commitment to which technique, which route they're going to go a little bit earlier on, so they know which, are they taking a right or are they taking a left. They wouldn't come into contact with that fork if there was a clear decision and made a little bit earlier on, rather than the last month of school before you graduate.
Right. And obviously, I mean, the wonderful thing is we are getting in this place where if they are in that situation, they're a month out, we still could help you, right? I mean, we still have opportunities to help you, but if you're in your first year of school and you're listening to this right now, what we would encourage you to do is make a choice earlier, right? Make a choice, figure out which direction you want to go in as it relates to a specialty within chiropractic, which is what we recommend, right? Don't be a generalist, be a specialist. Specialists attract, generalists are a dime a dozen, right? And so figure out what specialty you're going to focus in on and then start going in that direction. Yeah. And so, obviously everybody listening to this podcast knows that we're biased. We love upper cervical around here, but there's reasons why we recommend upper cervical as a specialty. It's not just because, I was an upper cervical chiropractor or Melissa worked in upper cervical offices. There's a lot more, there's justifiable reasons why upper cervical is, in my opinion, the best specialty within chiropractic. And, Melissa, why don't you talk about some of those things?
Well, first off, I just want to say I do have experience. I worked for about 15 months at a full spine office. So I have seen results I've seen both sides. And I must say, and again, chiropractic is better than no chiropractic. I am very biased to upper cervical, but that's because I sat in front of clients or patients that have been to 5 chiropractors and they didn't receive results.
Right.
And they needed a specialist within the field of chiropractic. And so less than 5% of doctors, chiropractic students choosing that upper cervical route, there's such a gap and there's such a need to go that specialty. I encourage students to go to the extra. There's so many opportunities for certification classes or courses, or, I know a handful of doctors that just a couple of the doctors that I know, they offer advanced or classes that you can learn more about these specialties. And it's the stories you hear, the information you receive, the knowledge you gain. It's just so valuable. And, we see tons of results. We see special cases, but it's also based on individualized care. So we're not just guessing or just adjusting. It's not a mill, right? Upper cervical chiropractic isn't a mill. Holding is healing. The goal for your patient is to get them to hold their adjustment. It's for their body to do what it is amazingly designed to do, and that is to function properly without interference. Your nervous system is supposed to function, but when there's interference, it causes a lot of disruption, and organ cells and tissues of the body are then at risk for sickness and disease. And so we need more, as it shows here, outcome driven. We want more patients to receive results. I spoke to one of our clients. He has a patient that's driving 5 hours for an upper cervical adjustment. That's special, right? Absolutely. But that also shows the willingness of the patient, and their health is their number one priority. And it is amazing to see, but it's also just a beautiful thing that how many chiropractic offices are in between that 5 hour drive?
Right. Hundreds, right? Probably.
Yeah.
Upper cervical, it's a precise outcome driven approach with clear systems, structured protocols that give you reproducible results. And as you mentioned, less than 5% of chiropractors at this point specialize in upper cervical. And so it's a very rare and in demand specialty, which leads to obviously a high, like you said, people driving from long distances because they get such incredible results, but also the sustainability and success of practice is much better if you are an upper cervical specialist because of the how rare and in demand they are, right? It can't just go down the street and get the same care somewhere else. And so it is a wise choice for so many different reasons, right? That the patients seek you out. You become that last hope doctor, as you mentioned, right? I've been to all these other doctors. I've been to 5 chiropractors, right? And that all those types of things. That is what upper cervical is for so many patients. But also, I mean, the key thing with this specialty though is also the mentorship, right? And that's a critical part of if a student or recent graduate goes in the upper cervical direction, they will receive good mentorship, especially if they work with us and we can help them get connected with the right doctors, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many doctors again that are willing to mentor. And I remember I was speaking with a doctor a little over a week ago, and they said, this profession, I have to do my part to be able to help teach someone what I know, because I have 30 years of knowledge and experience, and I have watched so many people overcome these health conditions. I have to share that. And I love the willingness of that doctor. It's not like I'm going to keep all this information to myself. No, in order to serve and help more people, we need your skill, we need your brains and your expertise to match with one of these young and upcoming students or upcoming chiropractors, because then we can serve more.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it. I mean, and for any of us who have been in upper cervical practice, we know how much we have been mentored. Like this is upper cervical is a unique world from what in my person, because I was a general chiropractor before I went into upper cervical as well for several years, and it's a unique world to have such an in-depth mentorship just culture. It's just how it is. Like you are very much you're expected to mentor others because you have been mentored, right? Like that's just the world that it is that you live in. And so that, the training and the systems, that bridge from school to mastery is so hard without mentorship, right? In some cases, it's just not possible. Like you can't do it, right? You can't come out of school and just figure it out yourself and actually be successful as a chiropractor, right? And you need to have that repetition. You need to have somebody that's going to teach you systems, right? School's just going to introduce some concepts to you, but mastery is built through deliberate repetition and proven systems. And you don't have proven systems when you're coming out of school, right? You don't know anything, right, about what actually works in practice. And that's why when you go in and you do an associate position, which is majority of doctors, we recommend you do an associate position to start your career. You don't try to go on your own. There's very few doctors that have the capacity to be successful coming right out of school on their own. But if you commit to training early, that's what will separate thriving practitioners from struggling ones. And so, go ahead.
Never be done learning. Like I came into contact with a couple students, and they were already at a point where, and this is just a small number of the hundreds that I've seen in the last month, but they're like, I'm not going to need any help. I already know what to do. And it's like, there's so much more to it than that. And just never stop learning. You're always constantly sharpening skills. You're constantly, whether or not you're an expert, even the best seasoned doctors still constantly sharpen their skills. They drill, they look at something that is let's say someone doesn't move forward in care, they're constantly reevaluating. How could I have been better? Not to say, hey, no, it was the patient. No, we're looking at what can we do better to serve.
That's right. That's right. And if you're a lifelong learner, you will grow in your success throughout your life. That's what I've seen, right? And that's what I've seen in practice and in business and in every area of life, really, is if you think you've arrived, if you think you already know what you're done, right? I mean, that kind of arrogance will lead to failure every time. And so, yeah, I mean, there's always growth systems that need to be refined and improved. And if you're coming out of school, you need all these things. You need to know how to communicate. You need to know how to retain patients. You need how to communicate with clarity and have structure and actually sustain growth, right? I mean, you get a new patient into the practice. How do you do that again and again and again, right? You have to have these systems to be able to do these things. And so, Melissa, we've covered a lot of different things. We've got doctors, we've got students, we've got different people that may be listening to this. So what's the best step for someone who is, not sure what to do when it comes to their chiropractic career?
Well, start with a career planning call. Let's take some time, carve out some time, 15, 20 minutes at least to start. And let's try to sort through some of the question marks that you have. Let's sort through, in the rare circumstance, are you ready to open up a practice? Because sometimes students want to open a practice, but then you start digging in and then they realize a big light bulb goes off and they realize I am not ready for this.
Right.
And really, where do you want to practice? What type of doctor do you want mentoring you? There are so many different types of doctors. Let's sort through all of the question marks and go from there of, hey, are you ready to be placed at one of these amazing upper cervical offices? Or maybe you're a doctor and you need to spend more time focusing on your patient rather than trying to look for a good fit of a student, or you are willing to spend the time to mentor to help produce another amazing upper cervical doctor in the future. So start off with spending 15 to 20 minutes to sort through any questions you may have or any ideas that you may have. And I can provide resources and support along the way and hopefully match them with an amazing doctor in the meantime.
Yeah. So we do these calls at no cost. These are literally, we just want to help the profession to continue to grow. And so if you are a student, recent graduate, or if if you've been in practice for a while and you're burned out and you feel like, man, this isn't working. Like, I think maybe I need to work for someone else. Any of those circumstances, you just want somebody to talk about your career with you. I would schedule this call with Melissa, and you can do that by going to ucmgrow.com/career planning, ucmgrow.com/career planning. And that's going to give you that opportunity to sit with Melissa and really have a personalized, focused conversation to give you clarity and help you start developing a concrete action plan. So, why does this matter right now? Because the habits, if you are in school, right, the habits that you build in school can shape your career, right? If you have that attitude that Melissa mentioned, if you think you already have figured it all out, then you got to be humbled. Unfortunately, you're probably going to need to be humbled in order to really see that you don't have it all figured out. But if you already are in a place of humility, then you can start to move forward, because confidence does come from preparation, right? The more that you understand about practice, about upper cervical, about whatever type of technique that you're focusing on, the more confident you become, right? And that direction will remove the overwhelm. And so the key thing here is don't choose the easiest path. Choose the one that sets you apart, right? That's what we want to encourage you with. Is upper cervical chiropractic is a path that sets you apart because it's precise, because it's purpose-driven, because it differentiates you, because you become part of a rare group of specialists in a crowded profession. And so, as we mentioned, your next step starts today. Be intentional, think about mentorship and training, and step into a specialty that helps you stand out. And as we mentioned, Melissa would love to sit and talk with you. Schedule a career planning call by going to ucmgrow.com/career planning. Thank you so much, Melissa, for being with us today on the UCM podcast. Really appreciated you spending the time with us. And as we always say around here, go Team Upper Cervical.